Hi, so my name is Jacob Hall. Unfortunately, I could not make it to the in-person symposium, so instead I had to watch the online recording. So pretty much what am I presenting over? I guess what presentation did I watch that I'm talking about? It was called Conservation Behavior, A Fearful Perspective. It was presented by Dr. Dan Blumstein. And so who is Dr. Blumstein? He's had his work published in many publications. Most recently, I believe, as of the recording, he wrote Nature of Fear, Survival Lessons from the Wild. He's pretty much works primarily in integrated conservation biology, behavioral ecology, and the evolution of behavior. So his whole career is just in researching this stuff. So he's been a mentor to undergrads, grads, postdocs, all that. He just works with the community in his area of study to, learn more about it. So, primarily, I said that, but what does he actually study? So, mostly in the kind of behavioral ecology area, he likes to understand, at least in his most recent research, the effect of pretty much humans, urbanization and that, and the effect of fear on prey, or just animals in general that are prey. He started out by saying that he likes to scare stuff. That's what he does. So how does fear affect animals? So he presents, to start off, that most wildlife management problems are just attract, repel problems. How do you attract an animal to go to, let's say, a bridge over a highway, like one of those animal bypasses, and then let's say you just want to keep them away from the highway. There's no bridge there. How do you repel them from there? And it usually just comes down to fear. What do the animals fear? Really, living out in the wild, they're just trying not to die, so fear is pretty much their daily life. So he mostly focuses studying on anti-predator behavior. How does that fear play into their behavior with predators? It's really, he describes not as food, really, where what influences population persistence, but it's more so security. Like I said, you can have all the food in the world, but if you're not in a secure place, you're just not going to survive out there. So just how does fear influence where they go and structure communities is pretty much what he dives into off the presentation. One of his big things of study he then talked about was how flight initiation distance from birds really helps judge what they perceive as their predation risk. So kind of what he would do is just to really put it down in basics, he'd walk towards, he'd identify the species and okay, I want to walk towards that bird, and just slowly through different methods and stuff walk towards those species of birds and judge how far away he was when they flew off. And so that can let you judge, how far away you need to build your parking lots, roads, housing and that, to see how it'll just affect the community of those animals in that area of, okay, well, if they, let's say, start flying away this far away, then okay, don't build preferably a bit further than that far away. You got to build out a bit so you're not disturbing them in their habitat. And so, he then delved into past that to, how does flight initiation distance decrease with urbanization? He found that it increases with body mass of the person approaching, which understandably a bigger predator is going to be a bit scarier. And so then he talks about that for a bit longer. Then he went on to another one, which was on hermit crabs hiding initiation distance. So same thing, instead of flying away, it was when did the hermit crabs kind of curl up in their shell, try to hide. And so he tested out a couple different things, walking up to them, tested the ground vibrations, found that it wasn't vibrations, but actually seeing. And so what he was able to test then also with these was the different modalities of kind of how they find that you're coming, sound, sight, smell, and that. So what that test really tested was they'd make boat noises, because that's what they naturally hear. And so they found that when there's boat noises going by, you can actually get closer to the hermit crabs before they curl up in their shells. And through that, he was really able to, study into distractions of those different modalities. If, let's say there's a busy highway somewhere nearby, and you're trying to study or really just more for the species' sake, if there's a highway nearby, and they're hearing all that noise, that's going to distract them, so they won't be able to pay as much attention to their predators approaching them. And so, it just really went into spatial ecology and the fear of just how that plays into it. He also talked about how for wallabies in New Zealand, their isolations from predators actually led to some loss of anti-predator behaviors, which is, I mean, what you'd expect, right? You know, they're not around the predators. They're not having to deal with them in their everyday life. You know, some things are passed down from generations of different calls and that, and so they just didn't deal with that. So when reintroduced in the wild, they did struggle for a bit. They had to discuss, you know, what are ethical ways to keep them captive, you know, help, say, a species is endangered. You take it away from there, but then it's going to lose some of those anti-predator behaviors. So do you introduce predators into there and just weed out the ones that wouldn't have the anti-predator that wouldn't have the anti-predator behaviors? He just went into that a bit and talked about some more recent stuff that he's working with on that. But he also found that isolation from predators led to a loss of the group size effect, which I just thought that was really interesting. But all in all, he really kind of concludes just discussing that really what he's working with is to develop, or what should be worked. What he wants to work on is developing mechanistic models to predict how animals will respond to humans, which really I think is going to be important, especially as, you know, the population of the world gets bigger, as more towns have to spread out further and further. Really, it's critical to have models that will tell us, okay, you can only go this far towards where, you know, a population really is of this animal, or, you know, this and that. And so I thought that was a really interesting presentation. I enjoyed it. And really, one of the biggest things that was kind of, you know, a direct connection to it was, you know, just walking, you know, I'd like watch the video. I was just going to think about it before making this video. And there was like just a grackle sitting down on the sidewalk as I was walking. And I just walked up to him. I mean, got within a foot of him. He kind of hopped away, walked a little closer, and they finally flew off, that led me to, you know, connect that to earlier in the thing of just the flight initiation of that in College Station, the birds, and even the squirrels, which is what I'm more normally used to seeing them a lot closer than normal anywhere else, and that they've gotten so used to humans. But then that made me think, you know, is this more beneficial to them, or are we actually hurting them through this? The population that would have originally lived where the campus is now, that, okay, maybe we're feeding them more, you know, that's probably why they're so used to getting so close to humans, that some people feed the squirrels, throw stuff to the birds, they're able to get in trash, and so they're so used to, you know, humans not hunting them. But does that put them at more of a higher risk of predation? That are they now so distracted by humans, all the noise in College Station, the different modalities and stuff like that, that then they aren't as keen for maybe a hawk coming in for the squirrels and that. And yeah, so I mean, just that got me thinking, and really interesting to see, kind of like he said with that model of being able to study, you know, the effects. I think that'd be critical for somewhere like College Station too. Thanks for watching my video. Bye.